Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hey there, welcome to another Lemon Amiga Play Guide and Review. This time we're checking out Lollipop. This was developed by Brainbug and published by Rainbow Arts in 1995. On the title screen we get 3 buttons: start, options and enter password, and also some jolly music as well. We also have a high score table, as you can see, with some default entries in there, and from the start we can check out those options. And in this game it gives us the option to practice with 5 or 7 lives, but you can't progress off the 3rd level unless you select 3 lives. The sound effects are a bit boring, so we'll have the music on. As far as control options, we can switch on a 2-button Sega joypad, and that means we can jump with the 2nd button, but I like to push up for jump, so let's switch on the joystick and the auto fire as well. Also, there is a small password system that we can enter, although I'm not sure how you get passwords in this game. Let's press start and let's check this game out, and this comes on an ADF or a WHD load, and I think I'm playing the ADF at the moment, and that takes some time to load off the disc. And eventually we get a loading screen. The toy factory is coming up, and this gives us some idea of what this game is going to be about. At the very start of the game there is a hidden chest where you can collect a power up, and I had played this game for quite some time in the Lemon Amiga competition. This is hopefully my best run that I ever did on the game. In fact, I know it is, and this was recorded on the 24th of October 2022, and I didn't have another try after this. I simply got as good at the game as I could do. And then this was my longest run. I'm going to move into uncharted territory. You can see power-ups. I think that means that we can maybe attack the enemies better. There are a few timing puzzles in the game, and there is also a time limit. So what I like to do is to rush through it as quickly as possible. I'm not sure if there are any time critical moments in the game, and if there were, they would be on this first level, but definitely we should hopefully get more score if it hasn't taken us as long to complete that level. Right, too many cutaways, and this one on the very first level makes sure that we go into a second area. There aren't too many of these unless it's a bonus area in the game, but level 1 is jam-packed with everything that the game has to offer, so that means that you'll find everything in there. So let's blow up this chest, and sometimes you'll find downgrades in these chests. You can see a magnifying glass there. Looks like I didn't want that, so you don't want to collect the downgrades, and if you leap off the bottom edge of that screen, unfortunately we'll die, and we can pull back on the controller to look down, which is very handy in these platform games. If we touch that side, we'll also get killed because I think that's electrified, so you can't touch the side either. Then it will load up off the disc, and you can see we've found 2 parts already, and we need to collect all 4 parts of the puzzle to unlock the end of the level. Also collected, it looks like a screwdriver, and maybe that unlocks a bonus later on. The checkpoints are very clearly marked, and the tanks you can only hit by crouching down. And collecting the power shoes, it means that we can jump into a bonus area. This bonus area is pretty difficult because you have to get on this platform whilst you've got the power shoes, and it's much more difficult if you don't have them. That gives us, I think, an extra life. That puts us up to 4 lives now in the game, and obviously if you can start building those up from the first level by finding those secrets, it's going to help us later on in the game. That's a mushroom, we don't want to collect that, and that's another key, that's an extra life, and that's another part of our banana. So we need to collect a banana, all 4 parts of that, to complete this first level. And sometimes it's pretty difficult to avoid all these disasters. And look at that, you would think that you could avoid that, but no, that's another area that we have to get into, because that, I think, reveals the last part of the banana. Some of these levels can be done different ways, and you can simply jump across the bottom on that one and you can avoid things, but sometimes it's a matter of pure luck and you can leap out of the way of everything else. See some great graphics, and there you go, that's the final thing. We don't want the 1 ton, so let's not collect that, and that means now we've unlocked the monster and there's nothing else to lose now. We can now run straight for the exit, and of course you don't want to die at this point, and we're running out of time, so you have to get a march on, and you don't have time to hang around much. But look at that, hanging around means we've just lost some energy. You get 3 energy. At the bottom of the screen they're represented by sweets, and I think there is actually a bonus up here somewhere, yes, something or other that gives us some more time, so that's fine. We also have the high jump as well, the power shoes, so unlocking all those secret bonuses is really handy. We're now on 5 lives and we've taken 1 hit, so we now have 2 toffees worth of energy, and look at that again, if you fall down you'll lose a life. So you have to do things by the book in this game. Another great thing about this first level is the music, and as the music builds up it gets more and more tense. In this case we've got a few bonus items, and the film roll, you can see we've got 5 of them at the bottom of the screen. I think if you press the space bar that acts as a smart bomb, and that takes a photograph of everything that you're killing, then you'll get bonus points for photographs that you've taken at the end of the game. I didn't really make much use of the photograph element, but you can do it. Let's just press it a few times anyway, and I don't think you get any bonus points at all for taking photographs of the end enemy. So that's, I'm not even sure whether you can defeat the end enemy or not using that method, So what I'm going to do is to rain things down on it and jump at the last minute so I don't get caught out with the shockwave of that monkey, and it will jump up about the second time it runs forward, so you have to leap out of the way of that forwards hopefully, and hopefully we can finish it off. It does take a lot of hits. After that we'll get to see all the photographs we've taken, in that case one, and all the bonuses that are added up. Now, cutting out that loading just for the sake of this review, let's move on to the underground. The underground starts off with lots of treasures hanging around in the background, a crashed plane and a puppet hanging down. In this room it reminds us of different kinds of things from childhood, and again let's watch out for the things that we don't want to collect. The second level contains the most boring graphics because you don't get any front overlays which give us an illusion of moving down a tunnel. In the foreground we also don't get anything moving in the background either. So this is the flattest and the blandest level, and because it's mostly brown and grey as well, it's pretty boring. But it's a good level map. Even though it is pretty boring, it will take you some time to figure out where you're going, and it can get pretty hair raising a bit later on. I'm just taking the long way around to kill these enemies, and I think you can even move to the left here, but there's nothing that we need, so I'm not even going to bother to do that. You can go all the way around and collect tons of points, and this is my best scoring run, but unfortunately I'm not too bothered about losing lives. I've got one energy toffee left. That means one more hit and I'm going to die. Okay, one more hit after this. At the end of that you can see the clockwork winder will fall out of our doll, because we are controlling a doll in this game, and so the winder will fall out and they represent our extra lives. So at the bottom of the screen you can see we're on shot power 2, we have some time left, 4 smart bombs, 3 lives now, and 3 energy toffee. Of course, if you're an American viewer, those are candies. Let's get ready to jump over this barrel, and it's almost pixel perfect, but luckily this game does not rely on pixel perfect jumps. And that's great because it means you can just hold the controller up and you can jump wildly. I think up here is something that we definitely need, and sometimes those objects, well, usually there are in these kind of coffin type boxes. I'm not sure why it's a coffin, maybe it's just a box with a lock on it. So let's collect all those. We've got a diamond, so fantastic. Let's not lose any energy collecting the extra candy. And now a diamond, I think that also unlocks something later on in the level, so we have to collect that, otherwise we're not going to be able to get through it. And it's those kinds of things that you only learn the hard way. In this game, having gone through this quite a few times, this level had me stuck for a while. Pulling back on the controller, or whatever it was, we've now entered another area, and you can see it's very highly drawn, very well drawn is this game, and I think it uses 64 colours, extra half bright, in order to get these visual effects. We've also now collected the first piece of the puzzle, and whatever that might be, and very lucky there. very, very lucky to survive that fall. Lollypop was developed by Brainbug, who were a kind of a development crew, and they were kind of a demo scene, and you can tell that this has got advanced graphics, advanced music and sound effects and everything else. This was pushing the Amiga to its limit. A major hazard on the second level is this jump, and you have to do that by the book. You have to time that to perfection, and for that you'll gain a checkpoint, but you really don't want to collect that, otherwise you'll materialise here. But what I found is if you cut through here as well, we find ourselves an extra life and some energy. So that's now 3 out of the 4 puzzle pieces. It looks like a rock hand, like Turrican, and we've also got the gem as well. The music in this game was apparently Torben Hansen, and he came from a group known as the Vibrants. So according to Moby Games, he created the music, and it says something different on the Lemon website. And the code, according to Moby Games, was Morten Murup, and he created, well, 1 or 2 games in the future, not too many unfortunately. And the graphics, Jacob Anderson, you might remember from Banshee that we reviewed, and he also created some graphics for CoverGirl Strip Poker. In this particular section I'm going to go all the way around and collect the extra life first of all, and also it gives us a bit more time. We can't afford to fall down any of these things, and yes, I have checked the walls in case you can just walk straight through them. Definitely hidden areas in this game are worth looking out for. And now that we've done that, we can now open this chest, and that gives us the time that we need. And if we are lucky and we can time it well, we can jump onto this top platform, this mine shaft. So these graphics are head and shoulders better than Rick Dangerous 2 with the mines, and I remember thinking back in the day Rick Dangerous 2 graphics were great, but these really take it to another dimension. You'd swear that these are AGA in quality, but no, this can be actually run on a normal Amiga 500 if you really wanted to do that, as far as I know, or maybe it takes 1 meg to run it. So again, if we are running, we can time this before we get squashed by a barrel, and that's pretty good. I think you need a diamond to get into this diamond mine, and hopefully what is in here after the mega loading. Let's see. Well, enemies, we're under attack straight away, and there it is. The boss monster is now on the loose. Let's grab some more time. And another one of those photo things, and yes, really I should be killing lots of enemies with the photographs, and that would give us lots more bonus score at the end, but because you can shoot them anyway, I don't tend to bother with that. And that's maybe a great tip for people who are trying to learn this game. Just press the spacebar a few times and see if you can do that. Well, I'm jumping down here because I've learnt the hard way that sometimes if you don't do this bit, you'll get hammered by the enemies, and that means you're going to lose health because you've only got 3 or 4 hit points. You definitely don't want to lose health. There you go, that's another one. And now we find ourselves at the end of level boss. What I like to do is simply, well, you can press the spacebar a few times and let's see if that does anything. And for the rest of the time I simply hold the controller upwards and hold down the fire button. And we did get a small picture bonus for that, 1,000, so we do get extra bonuses. And you can see a password appears on the bottom of the intermission screen, and on this version, well, I'm playing this hopefully with the fast speed on for the disk drive, so on this version you have to be very quick to write that down. This is one of my favourite levels in the game because you can just run through it all guns blazing like a turrican game, and it gives us some extra lives and some goodies as well. It gives us a power up, and that means that we're now on shot power 3, and I think that means we can fire 3 different missiles out around us, and that's pretty good. There's also a cut through section if you walk through here, which I did deliberately, and that means we've got access to another cave, and this is pretty hairy, but if you can get through it, it will give us some more goodies, maybe shower us with extra lives as well. This game came on 5 discs, and you'll have to do a fair bit of disc swapping if you want to play this game, and the original discs have got copy protection on there with self-modifying code. That puts us up to 9 lives, but it means anybody who tries to copy this game will find that the game breaks down a bit later on, and when we tried to play this in October 2022 for the Lemon Amiga Games competition, well, it was started I think on the 14th of October and the 15th, and on the 18th of October I wrote a note and posted something on EAB and started a thread asking for help to fix it because it kept crashing. And towards the end of the competition, DLF Silver actually released an updated WHD load which worked almost perfectly on an Amiga 1200, but it did still crash on other systems. So it was fixed, but it's not 100% fixed. It's just fixed so that you can get through it. And if it's going to crash, it's going to crash right at the end of the game or in the later levels, and hopefully all the rest of the bugs have been squashed. This reminds me of a Shadow of the Beast type level, where again there are multiple routes around it. You don't have to follow this precise way, but I find this precise way, and look at that, we've missed a chest. Well, we've got 9 lives, I'm not sure whether I really want to collect that. And this isn't the best way, this is just the fastest and safest way that I've found. Some of these lava jumps are more or less pixel perfect because you'll hit your head on the roof before you've made it completely. And there is nothing in here to pick up, so we haven't even started collecting our puzzle piece yet. Flicking that switch means we can go backwards in the level and go backwards over that tree stump, and that's not really very helpful. And the Robin Hood character jumping down there reminding us of, well, several of the games where they do that. So that's the platform we can get backwards in the level. It's not very helpful at all, but maybe if you're running out of lives, maybe you want to go backwards and collect them. And I think maybe 9 lives is the maximum. We'll certainly find out when we collect another one. but it's been some time since I played this game, so we're going to find out together. The Hag House is now open, because we've now got a crystal ball and the first piece of our puzzle. Is fantastic. We can jump on these logs or walk through them, and there's even a hollow in them as well, and it's raining, so there's fantastic music and graphics happening all the time. This wasn't created in a games creator, this was hand coded using machine code to really get the best out of the computer. The game isn't annoying, it doesn't make us leap over things annoyingly and take away our energy, because if we stand in the right place and we know what to do, we can simply walk and carry on walking. So this looks like a hag hut to me, so now we've got the crystal ball, let's check it out. And I think it's great to see all the different cut areas in the game, but of all of them, this is definitely my least favourite, because I've had to practice this area with save states in between my practice goals because I was no good at it. You can see we're almost out of time, and you have to activate various things in order to get out of the level, which hopefully I'm trying to do at the moment. And we're almost out of time, so what I'm probably going to do is to milk, hopefully, if there's any hidden items whilst we've still got a life. And some of these reverse our controls, so that's why the magnifying glass isn't helpful, because it reverses our controls, and if you're on a platform and you collect that, definitely it's one of the most horrible things that can happen, because suddenly you won't be able to control yourself. See, I'm trying to make this look easy, but we're still taking hits, unfortunately. It's a great sigh of relief when we get out of that particular room. So let's run and gun our way through this level. Anybody remember Super Robin Hood or something like that by the Oliver twins? And on the Commodore 64 and on the ZX Spectrum, I definitely had that game back in the day, and that reminds me of, well, umpteen games on the Amiga actually. It's great that we can choose what items we want to pick up, we don't have to pick up everything. And I don't think that mushroom is going to be very helpful. Well, Mushroom House is now open, okay then. So that means that, well, that must be this place. And inside the Mushroom House we get some more mushrooms and some more frogs and what looks like a lunar landscape. Great to see our weaponry pouring out. We're never short of weaponry in this game. We're never left stranded without bullets or any way to kill the enemies. And that's another part of our puzzle piece now. That's the wasp collected, and some extra time as well. So again, we'll have to keep on top of the time, we can't afford to hang around. And for that we gain ourselves an extra life. Unfortunately, I've just fallen through the floor and that's taken that away. But we can run straight through the door again, and lives in this game aren't a problem as long as you know where to find them, and as long as you hang back out of the way of the enemies. You can usually carry on and inch your way forward, and that's what I like about the best platform games. You can make it up as you go along. So this is us facing now the end of level boss, and I think this is one of the easiest bosses in the game. Let's just press that spacebar a few times. Now that we've got some ammo, you can see it fires towards us some highly coloured projectiles. Again, I'm just holding upwards and holding down on that fire button, and I think every new level it gives us full health back. And that's a huge time bonus, which isn't really worth much, but if you're going to die straight before the level, you'll get tons of time back. Moving on to Spookville now, and there is also, well, there's always a haunted level in these types of games. In the background you can see some trees with faces reminding us of ghouls and ghosts that we've reviewed, and you might notice that the music of this particular level was inspired by ghouls and ghosts. And by that I don't mean the arcade version, I actually mean the Amiga version with the Tim Follin music. And now the hut is now open, and you can see a nice sign outside of the bar, and I don't think I can gain access to the bar straight away without going around and following the level. And maybe that key opens up this part. And sometimes by shooting enemies it will reveal things, so it mentions something about an inn, so that must have been the bar that we faced earlier on. You can see Gianna R.I.P. in the foreground. That's a dig at the great Gianna sisters. Again, the graphics are amazing on this particular game, and the music as well, and even the playability. This does not insult the player at any point, and that's highly refreshing. So now we're in the bar, let's see now, that's another puzzle piece. I don't really want to collect that magnifying glass, maybe the candy cane is something. And if you explore all the corners of the game and all the corners of the levels, hopefully you'll find extra bonuses. I don't think there's anything in this corner, so that just means it must be in the other corner. I was wandering around this corner forever until I managed to find out how to trigger it off. And you can see some mushrooms. I don't want to collect them, but if I collect 2 of them that will reverse my controls back to normal again. I didn't manage to do that in time, unfortunately. Now, I think I've managed to get through that, or at least uncover as much as I can. So, now, why are we going backwards, I wonder? Yeah, it's great to jump on the barrels and jump on the scenery, and that's another great thing about this game, the background can be jumped upon. And so that's some more things, that's some more health. And there's another thing in here, that's the key that we've just picked up. So now we can explore the witch's room, and in here of course there are a few easy enemies to kill and a few easy things to jump up and down on. And so the shop is now open. According to that, I've got the gold key, so now we just have to backtrack to the shop. So there aren't too many backtracking elements on any of these levels. This is about the most that you'll ever do on the game, and because this level is very short, it's not absolutely a hardship to dive back and backtrack a little bit. So look at that, death, wait or life. So let's collect that life, and it's great to see those Disney type animations as well. This game was released on a DOS computer, on the DOS PC in 1994, a year before this, and the graphics are fairly similar. According to Moby Games as well, there was a Windows release in 2023. This jump is particularly difficult, and I hate that jump because you have to be right on it, and yes, there are pixel perfect jumps in the game, very few of them. So let's try that again, on there, and then on it, and after that hopefully you can make it through. That's a no way back, unfortunately. I don't think those steps spawn again, so now we're trapped on this side of the level. You better hope that you've collected everything, otherwise you're going to be stuck. And I don't think it's a no way back problem, because I think you can only get this far. Well, you can always jump over the thing. Look at that ye olde shop. So yeah, I guess you can make yourself stuck in this game, but I've played it enough to know where I'm going. So we're in the shop now. Hopefully we can collect and maybe the final key or the final part of our puzzle. And we've got a bucket. So now the well is now open. Well. And I guess you can infinitely leech the monsters in this game, so in the competition the objective was to not do that and just to run through the levels as quickly as possible. So there's a well there and a bucket, so let's get into here. And now we find yet another Bitmap Brothers inspired cave, which reminds me of Magic Pockets. And of course, don't throw yourself off into infinity straight away, you have to wait for those platforms. If you risk moving over to the right, you can get an extra life, and I think there is actually something that we need to the left. We don't have to explore the entire thing as long as we know where those puzzle pieces are. See all the graphical touches like a spider's web, and even the enemies have AI, so they won't start to attack us unless they can attack us, and they will try to follow us around the map. Check out this one, and you can see the Game Boys as well, dating this to 1995 as something that maybe kids would play around with back in the day. That's a bit of an insult, because this was virtually a PC only game until it came out on the Amiga. Let's not bother with that chest. I don't think that contains anything particular, but the hazard on this section is definitely this bit, and if you mess this up, it's another no way back, and you can definitely be trapped. You can see the waves at the bottom, reminding us of a Lemmings game, and definitely Lemmings. So what am I going to do here? Will I, and it is possible actually, to take a leap of faith off here and land on that platform below us. Am I going to do that? Am I going to jump over from this one? because, well, we don't need the extra life, and we don't need to risk lives getting it. But I want to show you this part of the game anyway, and because I've kind of practiced this as well with a save state, which I needed to do, then it means I can now do it without killing myself. So let's collect that anyway, because we need everything else. Let's collect the clock, and that's now few extra time. That's also the puzzle collected. See a hidden block, and that reveals yet another chest, so it's 2 more chests, and full of all kinds of things, but I think you can only blow them up one at a time. So whatever that contained, I've still got 9 lives, and that's all we need, that's all we can have, so that's all we are going to manage with. As you can tell, I've got tons and tons of respect for this game, and even the animations when we aren't doing anything. Cycle through a few different things, and it's fantastic to see our doll doing all kinds of different things, and that reminds me of, well, Pinocchio and things like that. We are now going backwards. It looks like we've got everything, so now just a small matter of the end of level boss, but before that I'm actually going to go through the bridge, and this reveals another area. You don't have to go through here at all, you don't have to do anything at all, you can just get to the exit. So this one is just for a bonus, and this actually reminds me of James Pond. So anybody who's played James Pond or even Arabian Nights might be familiar with climbing aboard boats and going through decks of boats and galleys and things like that. Of course, this is presented in 64 colours, so it's a lot more colourful and less cartoony than James Pond. It's also great to hear all the different types of music as we're going through the game. Now just a small matter of the end of level boss, which is the final thing that I've trained on and save stated on in this game. After we get through the end of level boss, then that's as far as I've ever got with it. Let's set off that checkpoint again, and it's fun to see everything in the background and even a copper sky as well. So this end part is a bit like a Ghostbusters bit. We're supposed to take down a huge enemy using nothing but candy. In this case it's just a huge ghost, and if we follow behind that, hopefully it won't hit us, or at least it won't rob that life away. But the bats can, so you'll have to hang behind it a little bit and maybe take that damage. Anybody who said that the Amiga could not do colourful platformers, well, there are certainly lots and lots of them, and I could go into detail, but for now this is the final level that we'll be getting to, and unfortunately for everybody, this came out in 1995, so no magazines reviewed it as far as I know, so the only score comes from the Lemon Amiga website, who gave it 7.4, which I'm going to actually round up to 7.5 out of 10. And in my book, it definitely deserves maybe an 8.5. And there are one or two things that spoil it. And one of them definitely is that chest you can see above us. We need to get to that chest vitally to complete the rest of this level. If we miss it, then we can't complete the rest of this level, and we'll go through a no way back, which means it's impossible. So I hate those impossibilities. If it wasn't for that fact, then this would get an even higher score, and the fact that it only gets a 7 is probably because most players only got as far as the first level. But playing this in the competition, you can see it's got massive depths, it's got tremendous graphics, much better than Harley Quinn and the Blues Brothers and things like that. And this really shows off the fact that this is an Amiga game, not an Atari ST port. It also heralds the fact that demo group coders were responsible for some of the games later on in the Amiga's development. That means they spent longer with it, they've created all these graphics and all this music as well. Now just the difficult part of hanging around and waiting for those platforms to appear. And what we need to do is ride this platform that I think we've just triggered off. We need to ride it over to the other side and then hop over on a few things. You can see the night there is fantastic and great animation, remind me of Disney's Aladdin. And we can make our way through the level from here. But I'm just wondering how far I'm going to get away from that chest before I realise that it's absolutely paramount to get it, because I think that contains one of our puzzle pieces. So that's a chair that walks towards us. This has got bed knobs and broomsticks elements to it, and the Beauty and the Beast movie that came out, you can see candles running around reminding us of that movie, and I don't think we've got an official Beauty and the Beast game on the Amiga. This level isn't difficult once again if you know where to find those chests, because everything that kills you wipes off the energy, and you can usually find the energy dotted around the landscape at some point. But it's always finding the magic place to trigger those. You can see the columns are made out of individual bricks, even the tiny individual bricks as well in the columns. So that's just about as far as I can go without losing the life. So here we go, this is it now. All we need to do is to get that chest. And if you can't, then you'll have to go around and try that again. It's almost yet again another pixel perfect jump. If we miss time getting onto this one because of the stupid animation, we're going to have to go around it or die, unfortunately. And that's how you lose lives on this particular section. So when I said there are no unfairnesses in the game, that's probably the biggest one I can level towards it. There are certain no way backs, and so I'm going to take a no way back now by taking this route, because if we drop down here past the last block, we then fall down onto, well, that one there, and that is the last block that we can climb on to access the first part of the level. After that you'll find there's no way back. So what I'm actually going to do for the rest of this playthrough, there are no more scores to read out, and everybody had a great time playing this in the Lemon Amiga Games competition. There's even a witch in the background. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move on to some other footage that I recorded where, well, look at that, in the witch's place. If you don't trigger the witch off at the end of the level, you can even explore the end of level boss's room, where we find a huge golden bed. Which is fantastic. But yep, I don't know whether I use passwords or save states or whatever, but what I'm actually going to do is move on to another level. This is the one after that, and if you can open that chest and get through that one, it's not very hard and it doesn't take a long time to memorise the castle, even though if you look on the Hall of Light map, that looks absolutely massive. But in fact the castle level is fairly straightforward, and most of these levels are linear, particularly this one, because you can't go wrong. Again, reminding me of Robocop. People who've completed this game said it was an absolute joy to get through it, to listen to all that music, and it really doesn't take itself too seriously, because again, you never run out of ammo, and power-ups, well, we're down to level 1, so that's not too bad. Insert disc 5, so that's what it comes up with if you've not got the right disc. So on this level you can see they've pulled out even more stops with foreground and background and things in all over the place, and icicles dropping down on us. And the reason why I don't like this level is because I never figured out how to get through it, and I just got so far with it and I never actually figured it out. So there are some tremendous effects going on, some tremendous music, and some great enemies, and some neat platforming action without too many puzzles, although this one has me stumped because I have no idea how to get through it. And this part reminds me of prehistoric. And the game yet again trying to shower us with lives. But apart from that, and without looking up this solution in the long play, I've actually no idea how to do that level, so let's skip on. If you manage to complete the game, it will give us a password you can see at the bottom, and that unlocks a mini game known as Candy Hill. This is, I think, the final level in the game, and this reminds me of Zool with the candy all over the place, and it's a simple running gun, so obviously they ran out of time to complete the game at the end of it, and you can see Robocop elements, definitely, with the bubble landscape and all these things. For me, this is the easiest level in the game, and it probably should have been the first one. And now it looks like we're climbing up a wedding cake, and that reminds me of an NES disc system, and I forget the name of it now, but something was on an NES disc that looked surprisingly like something like this. So this game does have hidden depths, and it has a sense of humour as well, with ketchup bottles or whatever they are on a wedding cake. And it has great jumping action, great controls, do not lag in the slightest. make our way now towards the end of this review. Then at the end it will also give us some end credits and type BIBBIB, it says, as the password to unlock a hidden game. That will unlock a Nintendo style LCD handheld game where we play a game of Candy Hill. We play candy at the bottom, and there are 4 slots on the screen, 4 columns, and the candies will fall from those, and you can see which side that they are going to appear from, but not necessarily which part that it moves to. You can see our thumbs as well move as we are playing this game. And this reminds me of LCD Dreams on the Amiga. It's fun to see all these hidden aspects crammed on to this release, and imagine if we had this quality of release from day one on the Amiga. So thank you for viewing this extended play guide to how to play the game, and showing you a few of the different levels. Hopefully now that you understand it a bit more and you know about the game, it might be one that you might want to check out. And that's a miss, unfortunately. That's 65 score on Candy Hill. So thanks once again, and we'll see you again in another one sometime soon. Thank you.